Second marriages after 60 create unique estate planning challenges. Here's how to protect both your spouse and your kids without creating family warfare. The blended family dilemma. You want to provide for your new spouse, but also ensure your children from your first marriage receive their inheritance. But without careful planning, this situation creates massive family conflict, or at least the potential for it. The common disasters that happen when planning doesn't occur include these. Scenario one, everything to the spouse. You leave everything to your new spouse, trusting they'll take care of your children. After you die, the spouse changes the will to leave everything to their children, and your kids get nothing. Scenario two, everything split. You split your assets 50-50 between the spouse and your children. Your spouse can't afford to live on half the assets. The children feel guilty about it, but also resentful. Scenario three, vague instructions. You leave it to your executor to be fair. An impossible situation for an executor. Believe me, I've been an executor. There are massive family fights. And so here's the strategic solution. Strategy one, the QTIP trust. Yes, qualified terminal interest property. How it works, the assets go into a trust at your death. The spouse receives income from the trust for life and can also receive principal withdrawals for health, education, and maintenance. It's all drawn out. At the spouse's death, the remaining assets go to your children. The benefits are numerous. The spouse is financially secure. The children's inheritance is protected. You control the ultimate distribution. And it might even provide some estate tax benefits. So here's an example. $800,000 estate goes into a QTIP trust. The spouse receives $40,000 a year annually, 5%. They can access the principal for medical emergencies and several, and the list may expand. So you want to check that out, several situations in life. And at the spouse's death, the remaining $600,000 plus goes to your children. Remind yourself, the spouse is taking money out in income, but the assets are growing, right? Strategy two, life insurance equalization. And here's how this could work. You leave your home and the most of your assets to your spouse. You purchase life insurance with your children as the beneficiary. Every side receives roughly an equal value, or you can have it disparate if you wish. The benefits, the spouse keeps the family home, pretty important. Children receive the immediate cash inheritance. No trust administration needed, and it's clean, it's simple. It reduces a lot of conflict. Here's an example. $500,000 home goes to the spouse. $500,000 life insurance policy goes to the children. Everyone gets their fair value. Strategy three, separate property documentation. And that could work like this. You clearly document what assets you brought into the marriage. You keep those assets separate, and then you have a prenuptial or a postnuptial agreement specifying the division. And the will or your trust distributes it accordingly. Here are the benefits that include clarity, because it prevents disputes. Each spouse protects their own kids. It removes the ambiguity, and it shows fairness to all. Now, strategy four, the life estate with the remainder. This works in this fashion. The spouse has the right to live in the home for the spouse's life. The children inherit the home after the spouse dies or moves. A similar structure can apply to other assets beyond the house. The benefits are the spouse has housing security, the children's inheritance is protected, and it avoids the spouse selling the kid's home. And it could also include buyout provisions, right? And so the critical conversations include talk with your spouse. Talk, communication, so valuable. What feels fair to both of you? What are the financial needs versus the wants? What is the timeline? What are the contingencies? What would the buyout options and flexibility look like? And you want to talk with your children about your reasoning around your decision and the values behind it. What's fair versus equal, the timeline of the distributions, and hear their concerns and their input, and maybe you morph your plan a little bit to satisfy that. You want to talk with your attorney about state-specific laws, tax implications, protection strategies, document coordination, because you want to avoid these common mistakes. I assume they'll work it out. I want to treat fairness as equality. Don't. ignoring emotional dynamics, failing to update after remarriages, holy moly, not communicating your plan, choosing sides instead of solutions. The prenup agreement option. If you're not yet married, a prenuptial agreement is the cleanest. It's clean. It specifies what each person brings into the marriage, how the assets would be divided, what spouse receives what at whoever's death comes first, what the children receive. There's no ambiguity. There's a lot less conflict. Now, special considerations abound for the wealthier spouse. You have more to protect, yet you also have more options. So you might consider generous provisions for the spouse with ultimate control over the distributions. For the less wealthy spouse, you want to ensure you're protected if the relationship ends or the spouse dies first. Don't rely on promises. For adult kids, communicate directly with them. Surprises breed resentment all day long, but transparency builds trust. Here's the ultimate goal: a plan where your spouse feels secure, your children feel respected, and family harmony is preserved. This requires intentional planning, not default laws. Are you in a blended family situation? What estate planning challenges have you faced? And I'm Debra Morrison. I'd love you to share that below because we can all learn from each other's experiences. Thanks so much.